0. P. Environment and Induction. In this unit we describe the major biomes of the world and subsequently of the Indian regions. We describe briefly the physical conditions and the biological communities of specific biomes. Reading through this unit will give Pooh an understanding of the diversity in the biosphere and set the stage for further discussion on the impacts of human intervention. In later blocks, 3.2 Terrestrial biomes of the world. Figure 1 shows the major terrestrial biomes of the world. As we have said, EZ lie the primary factors that influence the formation of these biomes are climatic, like precipitation, temperature, seasonal extremes and DNDS. However, topography and light are also important factors. Of all these, precipitation is the chief limiting factor that determines whether a biome would be a forest or a desert or a grassland. If the average annual precipitation in the region is less than 25 centimeters, the place would be a desert containing little vegetation. This would be true regardless of average temperature, light and quality of soil. If a region has moderate average precipitation, around 25 to 75 cm a year, grasslands would be formed. A region would be a forest if the average annual precipitation is more than 75 centimeters. The combination of average temperature and average precipitation, however, decides the type of desert, forest or grassland present in a region. Fig. I. The terrestrial BIOMQ of LHE whirl and can be identified according to the climax vegetation. Note that the taiga and tundra are roughly like a belt around the globe. Other biomes have a less continuous carrot distribution. After Stam and Taggart, 1987. J. If you look at Fig. 1, you would realize that terrestrial biomes tend to be arranged according biomes in the world to particular latitudes in the northern hemisphere. Interestingly, at any given geographical location you would find that the climate and vegetation change as the altitude changes. Therefore, we find that at the foot of a mountain there would be complex vegetation, and as we go up the slopes of the mountain we find the vegetation becomes sparse till we reach the moss and lichen dominated tundra-like regions at the top of the mountain. Tundra. I. Taiga 1. T. Exclamation mark. Dec tilde duus forest. T. T. I. T. Fig. 2. The altitudinal variation often mimic the latitudinal variation. I. Now let us suppose you had the time and the resources to travel around the world and you I. Plan to start your journey from the North Pole towards the equator. Let us see in a general way the biomes that you would encounter. You could start your journey of the biomes of the world from the blocks of ice floating on the sea about the North Pole. This is a cold, barren place. I. As you travel southwards you would reach Arctic tundra where the sea meets the land, which represents the northernmost biome. As you travel further south towards the equator, the biomes you would pass through would be taiga, coniferous forests, temperate deciduous forests, deserts, grasslands, and finally the tropical regions of the planet. Let us study briefly the main characteristic of each major world biome. Starting Y tilde H, the tundra, which is the least complex of all biome. 3.2.1 Tundra. The northernmost biome on our planet is the Arctic tundra. It lies as a treeless wet circumpolar band between the polar ice caps and the forests to the south. The predominant plants are lichens, grasses, sedges and dwarf woody plants. Despite the lack of trees, animals are found on land, in air, and nearby oceans. Similar communities are found at high mountains of all latitudes, forming the alpine tundra. The climate is very cold with a short growing season. The soil is frozen for most part of the year, and only the top 0.5 meter melts during the short summers in He. Arctic tundra. Fig. 3. The permanently frozen soil below is known as permafrost. In summer you might see huge herds of caribou, flocks of waterfowls and swarms of mosquitoes. With such a harsh Fig. 3. Arctic tundra in summer. Environment and introduction. Climate. It is not surprising that only a few kinds of plant and animal species are found here. Though, in the short growing season moss, lichens, some grasses and fast-growing plants dominate the landscapes. Swarms of migratory birds invade the tundra in summer to raise the young and fly south as the summers comes to an end. Some of the common permanent residents are muskox, polar bear, grizzly bear, wolves, snowy owl, Arctic hare, weasels, minks, etc. Tundra is a very fragged ecosystem as the rate of organic matter decomposition is very slow. Therefore, plants grow very slowly and the tundra takes a long time to recover from any disruptions. 3.2.2 Coniferous forests and taiga. As you travel south from the tundra, you will enter the circumpolar belt of coniferous forests, which stretches across North America to Eurasia. This region is called taiga, a word derived from Russian word meaning primeval forest. The taiga is a land of lakes, bogs, and marshes. The climate is cold with long winters and short summers. The dominant trees are conifers, like spruce, pines, and firs, fig, with needle-like leaves that can survive extremely cold winters. Typical animals found in this region include moose, wolves, lynx, bears, gray jays. Many of these rely on the stored body fat for survival during the cold months.